Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, CCA family. My name's Scott Verrier, and I'm on the Parent-to-Parent Council here at Calvary. I've been on the council for 3 years now, and we're just a liaison between you and the administration here at Calvary. And so today we're here with Dr. Rachels just to talk about some questions that you have and concerns. And we know, of course, during this unprecedented time, there are many. So first of all, I just want to say hang in there. We're going to get through this. There's another side of this, and we will get through it together. And I just also want to encourage you to be there for one another in community during this time. Even though we're separate, we can still be close. So encourage one another, be patient with one another. We all have incredibly varied opinions about all this because of the varied news we get every day from the news sources. And so just be there for one another. And also just support this administration. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hours have gone into opening and just the preparation and planning. The countless hours is unbelievably unheard of. So when you see or when you speak to administration, please just encourage them, thank them. And I just thank you so much for everything that you've done in your administration. It's been overwhelming to see, and it's just unbelievable what you all have done. And I know your heart is there for our families and for the students. And so I just thank you for that.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
So let's get to it. We're going to just go through some questions that have been sent to us. And Dr. Rachels is going to answer those. I will, of course, as we always say when we have parent meetings and give information to parents, always go to my CCA. There is a massive amount of information there regarding COVID and the school and everything related to it. And so make sure you're going to CCA and go there often because it gets updated all the time. So make sure that's your number one resource. But we're going to do these kind of things also just to keep you informed. So let's just start.
Sure.
Why are we opening? Broward County Public Schools are not opening. They've chosen not to. And I know a lot of private schools are. You can speak more to that. So why is CCA opening?
Yeah, no, a natural question, because when you look around Broward County, you can see, well, hey, the public schools are not opening, so school must not be happening in the county. But actually, every private school administrator that I speak to is opening school for their students. August, or some have pushed it to the beginning of September. And the reason for that is when you think about it, Broward County Public Schools is a behemoth. I mean, they're just a massive giant, and they have a lot of challenges that we don't have. I mean, for example, they have to transport tens of thousands of students by school bus, which is where students are most likely to be, the closest to each other during the course of the day. We don't. We have about less than 5% of our population travels by bus. All the others are brought here, every day by their parents. Also, private schools are able to be a lot more agile, and we can make, adjustments and get things sorted out in a way that a big system like that can't. And so also we have advantages that they don't have. For example, a lot of private schools are like CCA, where we have a lot of square footage on this campus that we don't normally tap into, that we can tap into if we need to give extra space for students to be able to spread out for social distancing and things like that. So it really comes down to we have abilities that they don't have. So then the question is, what's going to be the best for the kids? And as you look at it, the CDC released a document about 2 weeks ago talking about the importance of reopening schools in person, in the fall. And in that document, they had some really interesting things that I've shared it some with our families, but I think it bears repeating right here. And one of those was this, that in the last 5 regular flu seasons, there were more 0 to 18-year-old deaths than there have been from COVID so far this season. And so though you hear about it on the news all the time because it's the story, of the time, and so they're going to cover every angle they can, when it really comes down to it, the last 5 years, more deaths from the regular flu. And that really wasn't much of a news story because in a nation with as many millions as we have, the number, is very, very small. And so really for our children, it's, that's the level of risk seems like a very reasonable one. Also, the CDC has stated that the children are less likely to be carriers of it as well if you're worried about them bringing it home. Not to say that it can't happen, right, but they say there's a very low level of risk there. So we've got low level of risk. We've got the need for kids to be in school and all that means for education, for socialization. And then we've got private schools' ability to be agile and make it happen. That's why Broward County is a no, and that might even be the right decision for them with all that they're facing. But CCA and every private school in Broward County that I know of is opening.
So if, I know there are some families out there that are still not comfortable. And, families, make the decision that's right for you. I will ask you, I'll encourage you to not allow just blanket media to make your decision for you. All media is agenda driven. And so I will just encourage you to do your research, to find facts. But of course, at the end of the day, do what is, in your best interest, that you have a peace about, that you've prayed about. And, that's what we want first and foremost for your families. So with that said, some will not be comfortable.
Sure.
And so what are their choices fall starting, here at CCA? What are their choices in terms of class options and how they can do school?
Yeah, so that's something that we're really excited that we're able to make it possible for any family who isn't ready for their child to come back to school and wants to, be on the extra guarded side. That's totally fine. And so we've actually, that's where we've made the over $250,000 investment to put high definition moving cameras in each classroom, as well as large monitors so the teachers can be able to see the students who are at home. And they can be participating in real time right there with the other students who would normally be in their class for whenever they choose to come back to campus.
Yeah.
And so it's really going to be a great system, and it makes it possible for it to feel a lot more like the regular school day. They would follow the regular schedule. But for those families who want to, we welcome them to start the learning experience from home and do that as long as they feel comfortable. And in fact, it'll just make our numbers here that much better for that much even more social distancing. So not a problem at all.
If they decide to start from home, they're not comfortable, halfway through the semester, they change their mind, can they?
Yeah, no, great question. We asked them to make a commitment for the quarter, for the 9 weeks. But the reality is that we want our families to have flexibility and be able to do what you need to do to feel comfortable with the start of the year. So even though we're going to make it a 9-week commitment, you can actually change that at any time. We ask that you only do one change per 9 weeks. We don't want people flopping back and forth because we need to know which kids are going to be where as we take attendance and things like that. But really, at any point in time, you can make that change, and we'll have a process for that. Because a lot of people are like, what, I want to try at home, but 3 weeks in, I might want to change that. Yep. We're ready for that. And vice versa. You could try on campus, and after a while say, you know what, I want to switch to home. You can do that too.
Great. Let's talk about safety protocols here on the Fort Lauderdale campus, both on the campus and in the classrooms. Obviously, a real big concern for families, with
Sure.
the classroom settings and the spacing, and then also when they're at lunch, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, good question. So a whole lot of safety protocols going into play to try to do everything we can to make it safe while still being able to, have the kids here engaging in school. So one is we're going to have increased frequency of cleaning and sanitizing by our staff with electrostatic sprayers. We're going to hire additional staff to accomplish stricter cleaning protocols. We are hiring additional staff to supervise these new areas that I talked about. Where we can be using additional areas on campus. Those need people to be supervising them. We're going to have daily temperature checks. We're going to have face covering checks to make sure that they've got the right kind of mask. New hand washing stations that we've installed on the playgrounds and in 6290. Also hand sanitizer stations at entry points and in all classrooms. Staff training that's happening. Limiting of on-campus visitors, campus signage promoting proper hygiene, one-way traffic flow, clear partitions on elementary desks, greater social distancing in the secondary classroom. Food services is changing the way they package our food to where it's going to be individually packaged, and there's various CDC guidelines there that we're following. So there's really a long list, probably more than we can even get into here, but again, like you said, you can see a lot on our website or My CCA, but a whole lot of things that are going into place. And I'm really just proud of the team and how they've worked so hard in getting these things set up to best care for our kids and our staff too. So
Unbelievable amount of effort, and I can't believe what's having to be done now just to do regular everyday things. But it's nice to know we're doing them here in terms of safety, and of course, before any student walks on this campus, it needs to be that way. So you talked about masks. You just mentioned these. So this is my mask. You have a surgical mask. There's the N95 mask, there's the buffs or gaiters that they can wear. Talk about what's acceptable, what isn't, where they need to wear them on campus, and where they can take them off.
Yeah, and that's a good question. So first of all, our preschool and pre-K do not have to wear masks. The Broward County Child Care Licensing actually asks that we do not have them wear masks just for their age. It's the better thing. But our kindergarten through 12th grade will wear masks, and that will be whenever they're up and moving around. So it could be moving around the classroom, could be moving from class to class. They'll need to wear the mask. But when kindergarten through 12th grade are seated at their desks and going to be stationary for a while, at that point they can choose to remove their mask and go to a face shield. And we think that's the great mix between having safety while also making it a great experience for the kids in learning, and to where they can also be able to see their teacher's face, and the teacher can see their face as they're talking, but still having the shield there for that extra safety. And then when it comes to which masks are allowed, really we've given a lot of freedom there, as the CDC has as well. We just ask that students not wear bandanas and not wear the masks that have the vents that let out the air too freely. But other than that, we do allow the gaiters, we do allow cloth masks, we do allow patterns and things on those as well.
Yep, as long as they're acceptable.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So we're obviously aware, and I know you're aware, that a lot of parents work, most parents work. And so with this new scenario too for our middle school, high school, where it's a hybrid model, they have 50% of their week where they are actually here on campus, and then 50% of their week where it's full mobile learning. If their parents are working, they can't stay home by themselves. What are the options? Where can they come on campus and do their mobile learning here?
Right. Now, a great question, and that's something that we are excited about too, is that we make it possible that even though at middle and high school it's only 50% of the kids in the class at a time, which allows for great social distancing, we make it possible for a child to still be here 5 days a week. So for the families that prefer for their child to be on campus 5 days a week in middle or high school, they can still have them come, and we have these on-site mobile learning locations that they will go they'll be supervised there. They can work with their laptops and headphones and get the work done. They'll still have a chance to connect with others at lunchtime, but they can do that. They can sign up for that option, and they'll be making it possible for the parents to be able to go to work and things like that. And of course, those who don't need that, for your child's older and you feel comfortable with them being at home, you can of course sign up for the option on the alternate days to just stay home and not even have to make the trip in, and they can do their mobile learning that way.
Awesome. So we know that there are families that receive state scholarships that come to Calvary, which is an awesome blessing. What are the requirements for those families, if you want to talk to them about, do they have to take part in on-site learning, or can they take part in the mobile learning also?
No, that's a good question. And the Department of Education has made it possible for, at least for the first semester anyway, that any family who wants to choose the learning option from home 5 days a week, they're free to do that. They haven't made a ruling yet on the second semester, so I guess they'll be watching and see if they feel like there's enough of a need for families to do that. But yeah, so they can choose either option at this point, and for second semester, we'll wait to hear what the Department of Education says.
So preview day has been a question, are we going to have it? It's always a crazy day because there's so many people on campus. Obviously, we can't do that this year, but we are still having it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so certain parts that would lend themselves to video, we're going to actually send out in advance so that families can check that out from the comfort of their home.
Dr. Rachel's welcome, the administrators,
Yep, they can see that by video. And then we're going to actually have 2 different preview days happening, and we're going to split the student population into 4 groups to allow for greater social distancing. And the families will be able to come and have ample time to meet their teacher, for a secondary student to walk their schedule, and go from class to class. And so that's the way we're going to keep it safe, but also let it have every part that it needs to have for kids to feel comfortable and ready for that first day of school, which is what's always been the goal of that day. Yeah,
great. That's great. And speaking of keeping safe and distancing, you touched on it earlier that we are having buses still run.
Yeah.
Are there any changes to that?
Yeah, good question. So we do have our buses, and they will still be running. And so we are just limiting the number of students that we'll allow on the bus, and only doing like 1 child per seat, and various ways to keep them safe and spaced out, just like we are in the classroom, making adjustments to help kids be spaced out.
Yeah, well, kids don't have a hard time being spaced out, so that's good. Just kidding. Love your kids. They're my kids too. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about multiple children in secondary, so middle school, high school. Are they going to be on the same days? Do they have different days? So, parents getting the kids here who might be on different schedules? How's that work?
Right. Yeah. No, we knew that families wouldn't, if they had 2 or 3 students that were in 6th through 12th grade, they wouldn't want to be coming on different, school days, but rather have them lined up. So we've actually purposefully, grouped the families together so that if you have 2 secondary students, you will be coming on the same days.
That's great.
To work that out. We did it by the letters of the last name, and again, if those were different, we still are ready to work that out and make it work for the family.
So if there's different siblings with different last names, you're figuring that out also.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, so socialization, you mentioned that also, why it's important, the CDC, saying it's important for kids to be in school. So talk a little bit about like lunch on campus. That's one of the big social scenes normally.
Sure.
How does that happen?
Yeah, so for our elementary, they'll be eating right in their classrooms because that's going to be the safest way for them to connect. But it'll still be a time where they can talk while they're eating. It's not going to be the academic learning time, so still a good chance for them to have a break, socialize, connect with each other. When it comes to middle school and high school, we're going to actually double the number of lunch sessions that are happening so that it makes it easier for them to social distance and have greater space during the lunchtime. But still, a great time for them to be able to connect, talk to each other, and again, have a break from the regular, academic part of the day.
When you say double lunch sessions, that's going to sound great for my son, but we're going to have to explain. No,
For
you only get
one
to go to
each,
one.
one each,
Yeah.
yes.
Double lunch, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'll sign up for both of those. Let's talk about the discipleship aspect, which is obviously huge for us at Calvary. Small groups and also chapel. Are both of them going on still, and how are they going to take place if so?
Yeah, no, good question. And in a similar way for the elementary, middle, and high school, their chapels are scheduled to take place in the sanctuary, which actually seats 3,500 people, so we can social distance while being in the sanctuary and still have a live together worship experience for them. So we're excited about that. Also, the mobile learners that are on site or in another location, like doing it from home, they will attend chapel virtually, and so it'll be alternating from week to week for them. 7th through 12th grade students will participate both in person and digitally in small groups, either before or after chapel, and this time will coincide with their lunch, which lets the small group time extend and go a little bit longer.
That's great. So we're still able to have those. We're just going to do it in a safe way.
Yeah, we're having to change how we do it, but the students will still be experiencing those every week, and just a great time to connect with their peers, also with their small group leader. It should be great.
It's great. So I know you're aware that this has been a challenging financial time for some of our families. For those of you out there who are in that position, are probably wondering, is there any financial assistance for them made available by CCA?
Yeah, no, we know that a lot of families, this has been a tough season for them with many businesses being closed and things like that, directly impacting a lot of our parents. So with that, we've worked hard to be able to increase our financial assistance budget, and we've had people who've chipped in to help make that possible.
That's great.
And so we encourage those families to apply. They can connect with Savitri Polio. She's the person who coordinates that for us, and she can show you how to apply for financial assistance if you're in need in that way. We want to help make it work for your child to continue at CCA. And if you're a family who's been doing well through this time, we encourage you to consider giving to the fund, because that's how we're able to help families as other families help families to make it possible.
That's good. That's great. There's so much information that continues. This is an incredibly fluid situation, obviously, in our country and here at CCA. So I know there's going to be a lot more information coming out. I know that you and your staff will continue to provide answers as they come to me and to the parent community. So be on the lookout for that. Is there anything else you want to say just in closing to the families?
Sure. No, I appreciate you helping to set this time up so that our families could get answers to a lot of the questions that they've shared, as we want to keep our families as informed as possible, because we know that there's a lot going on and it's a new way to start the school year. But we're excited about it and confident that God is going to make it to be a year to remember, a great year, and we love serving you, we love serving your kids, and we're just looking forward to it. So thanks again for this time.
Yeah, thank you.